First in YouTube. Start streaming this time. Alright. The best I can tell, we are now up on YouTube. We are now up on Twitch. I think we're good. From Shadows Dirt Podcast, episode 1. An hour later than planned. Sorry for anyone that may have actually been waiting on this. So, the way we're currently set up, this should be a 4-person thing. We are missing one of our guys, so we don't know for sure what's going on with that, but I am Pyrotech03, one of your gracious hosts, and I do YouTube primarily, going into Twitch, kind of, sort of, maybe. That's kind of a mid-stream crisis situation going on. And to my left is Mibu. Mibu, tell us a little bit about yourself. No, we're not prepared at all. Mibu or Sicachi is to your bottom. He's yeah. So yeah, so kind of going on, if it's not already obvious, our first show, we don't know what we're doing. We're trying to figure this out. We're trying to, if we're just honest with it up front, it's considered comedic instead of pathetic, is the way I see it. So we got a couple great topics for you, and time permitting, a little bit of this and that at the end. Our first thing, I think below me I got it, is early access. Mibu, why don't you go ahead and get us started on that? We need some Benny Hill music going on in the background, really. That just made me think of the music for the cutouts on Holy Grail, Monty Python. Stone face. I think if you take early access for what it was originally intended to be, that is a way. It was supposed to be a two-pronged thing. One, it gets the developers, especially that don't have a big publisher behind them, money. So that's the reason we pay for it. But it was ultimately the reward for pretty much doing the crowdfunding was an early, like the title says, an early access to the game. The idea being you are playing something that is still in development, still bugged, and not guaranteed to finish. The problem that you have with early access when you start hearing these debates come up is typically people that expect early access to already be a finished game. Whenever games release in early access that really shouldn't be, but because that's a buzz marketing term now, they keep it. So, and then you got the topic of paid expansions in early access, which I'm sure we'll get to at some point in time. But that's derailing from this point right now. But the problem that a lot of people have, they are disconnected from the idea of what it originally was. They think they should, since they're paying for it, that it should be a ready game. On the other standpoint of it, like if you're paying for a game, I think I think early access reviews are perfectly valid. Our own website, PC Gamer, any of those, your major Kotaku's, all of those, they have every right to review those games on the basis of its early access, of course, because you are paying money for it. But the expectation should still not be like a AAA title finished. So. Yeah. Microsoft, they did do something with their Xbox Live Arcade titles. They did start an early access program as in the later years of the 360, as early as the late years of the 360, I believe. I wouldn't necessarily call it success. A success ethically, I would say definitely failed. Um, I think really like as far as like the idea of Valve policing early access and or just completely being I think really the best approach for it is better educating on what early access is. Um, like you there's examples of to where games that haven't had updates in months that just get pulled and then suddenly the thing just collapses. There's stuff to where like there's a game I own still, Colonies Online. The thing is, it's shovelware. It hasn't had updates in months. The servers, I think they might have one server running that's never got players on. It's meant to be an isometric third person MMO survival crafting thing, and I bought a 4-pack of it. I still got packs to give away if anyone wants the damn things. But for all intents and purposes, the game is dead. It is still for sale on Steam, where you can buy it in individual multi-packs, in all their little up to like I think they have a $200 founder pack or whatever. They still sell this stuff. It is still available on Steam. Why hasn't that been pulled? Negative reviews out the ass of this thing's dead, don't buy and everything. But ultimately, like Valve can't pull. They don't. Without investing pretty much a team into that as their sole function, you can't police all of early access. I think they're new since they've stopped Greenlight and gone with the direct program. There's a little bit more involved. Valve has stepped in a little bit more, and that'll help a little bit. But even then, the cost of entry is only $100, I think. So. Yeah, I mean, it's usually a couple times a month at the very least. I won't say a week, but definitely, it's a monthly occurrence. Well, no, there. Um, I was gonna say like that kind of brings up two things, um, that are kind of a double. It brings up two very opposite points of early access. One, the game saves, the progression loss, and everything. As and that goes back to as you go if you go back to like educating the users. Um, as someone that is buying into early access, I would agree. I would have to say that you two should understand that it is a very real possibility to have such game breaking bugs occur as a result of this. Um, just a second. Say something, Mibu. I'm waiting. Just a second. Um. Yes. Uh. 1 second. No, we are having an issue with our audio. Yeah. I just had someone DM me and saying that they're not getting your guys' audio. Say something, you guys.
Hello.
Something.
Hello.
Something,
Hello.
something, something.
I don't know why you say
Alright,
goodbye.
stop talking.
I'd say hello.
Stop talking, Sicachi.
Say something,
I'm
you
sorry. Hello.
Something. Something,
Hello.
something.
Alright. Okay, I'm sorry. Um, the desktop audio for you guys should be working now.
I hope so.
Shit. Anyways,
Maybe after the stream.
yeah. Anyways, going on. Like I said, like as someone that is, uh, buying into early access, you should understand that there is a possibility of not having that stuff continue on going forward. And you know, it's just part of the game. But
Yes.
one thing that the like you, I think you might have been getting ready to hint at, maybe the flip side of it being that, it's possible to go into early access too early. You know, and that's kind of going to be my question here. You know, when should games go into early access? Because like you're saying, you're going into a game, you're getting really far into it, and you're having to constantly release updates that are breaking game saves, and you start losing your player base to, you know, the hype is gone, the interest is fading, and it's by the time you actually hit release, you don't have a player base.
No, exactly. And I've got a few examples again down the line. Let me bring these up now, okay? Whilst we're at it, there are games in early access, and we all know these games. I own all 3 games. These 3 games are in early access since 2013. We're now in 2017. For those who don't know, we are in 2017, right?
It's current year.
It's crazy. So 7 Days to Die, I think almost everyone knows that. Daisy and Rust. These games, again, are in early access since 2013. They're still in early access, okay? Daisy, to my knowledge, hasn't changed in a long time. 7 Days to Die, I wouldn't know too much about it. I haven't touched it in a very long time. Rust, I think the last time this game updated for me is months ago.
When they added penises, I think.
I don't know.
Oh yeah, that's the thing they did. They took out the zombies and they added penises.
Probably.
Such is the way of the world.
So this, in a way, is... Are they ever going to finish this game? Because it had a huge player base. All these 3 games had a huge player base. Yeah. And I don't know if these games are ever are gonna get finished. I loved Rust. I loved it, but because it was just... no, I can't play it anymore. I can't play it anymore, and it's still being in early access. It doesn't help. It doesn't help.
Yeah. And I mean, it's almost like pretty much like there are some games that we like all 3 on your list right there that a lot of people have just assumed are never going to leave early access. And it's just, I mean, it's where you start talking about people joke about early access being a genre into itself anymore, really.
In a way it is, and majority of the early access are survival games, which is strange.
And you know, it seems like it's come from Minecraft.
It all generated from Minecraft. Yes, and Minecraft, to be honest, did it well. Yeah. Minecraft is one of the success stories, even though I can't stand Minecraft. I'm one of the only ones. I'm one of the only ones who can't stand Minecraft. Please don't hate me for it.
No. In all honesty, I hate I'm a Minecraft hater too. So.
Okay.
I like Minecraft. So screw you guys.
I would if I could.
But I think that Minecraft did it well because their initial premise was you're going to be creating new worlds pretty regularly, and if not, you're probably going to be on a server or something. It was expected that you're going to have to restart worlds and that sort of thing.
So that brought me actually to a term that I came across.
Oh, really?
We probably all know a certain amount of unfinishable games, and unfinishable in a way like, for example, Tetris. You can't say to anyone, or you don't know anyone who's ever said, "Oh, I've completed Tetris." Okay, I've completed Civilization 5. These are games, they have no real end game. Okay, now unfinishable games, a different viewpoint, again, early access games. These games, for example, which are on early access or in early access since 2013. Are these unfinishable games from a developer's side of view? I don't know. I really don't know. I don't think it's right for people to exploit the system, but there are consequences. Personally, I think it's fairly obvious how much improvement can be expected from a project based on its current status. Conan Exiles, is it called that way?
Conan Exiles, yeah.
Exiles, yeah.
They're getting ready to release I think it's at least a free expansion, but...
Yes. With this, let's just talk about the expansion in early access, because you brought it up kind of twice now. What I find absolutely mind-boggling, I don't want to swear right now, a game that I used to love, and I mentioned it before, Ark Survival Evolved. During early access phase, how the fudge do you dare to release paid DLC?
Yep.
During early access. Early access is meant to be the face of the game, where you push out patches, where you add things to either fix the game, add variety, add more story, this, that, and the other. You don't necessarily release paid DLC. It was a very bold move, and I think it pissed a lot of people off, including myself.
I have never owned the game, and whenever they did that paid expansion, I will not buy the game on principle alone because of that.
Yeah.
And
I mean, I can understand them not wanting to add this content to the normal game, because they have like dragons or something. I'm not sure.
I don't know.
Whatever it was. It doesn't even matter what it was.
Yeah. If they didn't want to add that content with the game, either one, why would you create it if you didn't want with the original game? And if you were thinking about adding it later, then finish the game and then work on it later. Or you have it as free DLC. Have it as something where it's optional to add to your game.
You can always keep it in your back pocket. It's there, ready for full release. It's there, waiting. And as soon as we hit full release, maybe a month later, there you go, paid DLC.
Yeah,
easy.
In all honesty, like, if you're in early access, all your effort should be going into completing that game and leaving early access, especially since that's what your players are paying for. If you have this stuff that was so fucking awesome that you just had to get it made, either you should have included it in the main game, or like Sicachi and I think Mibu said too, shelf it until you have the time and resources after early access to devote into it. At least you already know you pretty much have a finished product. You just need to do the work on it. But I think they'd spent 4 months on that.
Roughly, if I remember
they
correct.
Spent on that expansion is 4 months they could have been spending on the main game, making those systems better. And I mean, like I said, I'm just that company overall. I just am not happy with the way they've handled Ark, and it's just a mess.
Yeah.
I think I played it once since they announced this DLC, and I'm like, nah, I can't do it, because the game is still broken as hell. It's still broken as hell. At least the last time I played it. And that was after the paid DLC.
And I think last thing to probably cover for early access, the price hikes upon leaving early access. Opinions?
That was actually one of my points. Just to end on a good note, early access. Early access has seen some success. One is Prison Architect, one is Kerbal Space Program. These are a little bit older titles, but more recent. For example, We Happy Few, and this goes hand in hand with what Pyro just mentioned, is bound to leave early access in 3 days, so on the 16th of August. And we'll talk about the price tag in a second. And PUBG, I think one of the most, Yeah, one of the most successful early access titles.
Currently, the most successful early access title.
Exactly. It's been on Steam since the 23rd of March, 2017. Full release is expected has been pushed back, by the way, but it's expected towards the end of 2017. But the developers, Bluehole, they're on a roll. They're doing a fantastic job. The game is awesome. They're pushing patches and updates out. I'm on their Discord server. Every time something happens, they're fixing it straight away. So there's a thing. Well done. But going back to We Happy Few, it's again a game that I covered at a very early stage on my channel with videos. Feel free to check them out if you want to. It is an awesome idea. The developers, again, brilliant minds on the ball with patching and updates and fixing things. But price tag, again in dollars, $29.99 on early access, and from the 16th of August the price goes up to $51, $50.99 to be precise. So how do you guys feel about the price tag? Early access, full release?
Well, I don't know much about We Happy Few. I don't know how big of a game it is. But on principle, I think that raising the price tag after you've fully completed a game is a good thing. Because whenever you're buying into that early access, you're showing your support for the team. You are putting that risk out where the company could go under. The game might not get finished. So you're investing your money, and it makes sense to not pay like $60. It works well on a producer's standpoint as well, the game developer standpoint, because I mean, you get more people that have access to the game, more people that are willing to spend less money. So you're able to get that sort of cash input starting out, and you're able to get generate some interest in it.
Right, and kind of going on that, like, you know, overall, yes, I agree that's a good thing, but it's another one of those things with the big conundrum that is early access we've been talking about. There's a right way and a wrong way to do it. Announcing like, hey, we're releasing on the 16th, and that is when your price hike goes into effect. Great job. We're going up by $5, $10, you know, I'd say up to about 50% of your current EA price. Fine. Going back to Ark again, a month ahead of time, or they've granted saying that you're going to hike your price up whenever it comes out. Great job. Arbitrarily doing it a month before you leave early access without any sort of announcement, except the day of it happening.
That sucks.
That sucked. And then delaying your release. So, I mean, if you're gonna do it, be upfront about it. And it shouldn't. Oh yeah, and also doubling the price of your game.
That requires balls.
Ark went from $29.99 to $59.99.
Ouch.
To just in the name of parity of the retail box releases. So overall, it's great, but there's a right way and a wrong way to do it.
Yeah, and I think with We Happy Few, it's played out really well. I don't have the figures in front, but the article that I have seen that the price will go up to $50.99. The article was released probably 2 days ago. So between 2 days ago and the 16th, everyone who reads this article is like, oh, We Happy Few. Let me have a look on YouTube. Let me have a look at Twitch. People who like this game, they now have still that window to pick that game up at early access price. I find that strategy fantastic.
And it'll
absolutely
give them a huge
fantastic.
too.
Of course. Yeah, and with Ark Survival, we're bringing it up over and over again, but with Ark Survival Evolved, it has already such a bad reputation that whoever sees it, comes across it, and does a little bit of research, they see something like paid DLC during early access or the price increase, that might put people right off. So again, right and wrong way, early access. I think we know who did it right, who did it wrong here. I don't have
Ark, you suck. That's all there is to it.
You said
you
it, Pyro.
suck more balls than Tiger Woods' putting.
Okay. Well, I think that we've covered this topic pretty well. Perhaps we should move on to the next topic, Pyro.
All right. So, next thing for me is for us is the for lack of a better way to put it, we're calling it the get good mentality of gaming.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you how this came up for me. A game has just recently released, and it's getting met with critical acclaim. A lot of people are loving this game to death for its portrayal of mental illness, for its just visceral, gorgeous graphics, and the story is phenomenal. Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice. I started playing it. It's going to be a playthrough I'm doing on my channel. Mibu, is he started playing it himself.
I watched.
Yes, he did.
The reason that this topic is coming up is there is a scene, without spoiling too much of it, that your character dies, and you get met with this very visceral scene of it and everything, and it cuts to text talking about the mechanic called the rot, to where once it reaches, it starts off in her hand, okay, and they do this big representation of it going up, and they talk about once it reaches her head, Senua's journey is over. And there's I haven't read it. I've because of me wanting to play it, the story, I've intentionally stayed away from reading any more on it. There is a knee-jerk reaction amongst the gaming journalism community of, okay, this thing is just going to delete my save file if I die too much. I think that has since been misinterpreted. There's no, I don't, as far as I've read, and within the first couple of days of coming, there wasn't a confirmation if it's possible to die so many times that they permanently delete your save file.
Yeah.
So this thing polarized the fan base of this community within in less than 12 hours of it coming out, because it's early in the game, like in the first 10 minutes probably, and immediately you saw a half and half, like, this is effing amazing, and to like, I'm requesting Steam refunds, and how can you do this? This is retarded. You should respect my time as a gamer. Discuss. What do you guys think?
So, first of all, I completely agree with you. It is a freaking phenomenal game. Visuals, sound. I felt when I only played the first 2 hours, and I felt like the voices all around me, behind me, in front of me, left, right, everywhere. And this is a freaking amazing mechanic for this type of game. Now, I've read some articles that the permadeath mechanic, or where the game deletes your save game, might just be a fluke. Like you said, Pyro, people have misinterpreted it, and the developers probably just went with it. Kind of rings No Man's Sky's bells with advertising, but not as bad.
I've heard it. A, it's true, they delete your save file, and I've heard B, it was put in there by the developers. They aren't actually going to delete your save file, but by making the player think that that's a possibility, it keeps you on edge and gets you.
It keeps you very much on edge.
And it gives you that tension, like that they're trying to give you that tension that the Senua is feeling. So continue.
I mean, even again, I don't want to spoil too much, but
you spoil any of this, I will kill you and disconnect you from this chat right now.
Okay, thank you very much. But I'm only going to cover. Have you played? No, never mind.
I finished the first.
I don't want to spoil it for anyone who,
I finished the
is
first
watching.
dungeon, the same one that you did. That's all I've done so far.
Okay, so I'm not even gonna go into the first anyways, so
it's hard, isn't it?
I knew about the permadeath functionality, or the possibility of the permadeath functionality, before I even picked up the game, and did a little bit of looking into blah blah blah. But then I started it, and there was that point where I was walking over a plank. Is within the first 10 minutes. I was walking over a plank to cross a little gap, or a big gap, if you will, and I fell down and died. Splat. Yeah. I was like, oh shit, no, this game is going to delete my save game. And that was before I was even infected with a rot in the game. All right? So it's this thought of, oh shit, I've got to stay alert, I've got to get good, is constantly with you in this game. It's
I honestly don't know
phenomenal.
what you guys are talking about. Like, it's not a big deal. If you just get good, you won't have to worry about dying.
And that's the other part of this conversation. It's that I want to talk about with this. You got on the what I said. What started it was the developer side of it. These games that are designed, like a lot of people accusing Hellblade of it. A lot of people say League of Legends or any of your MOBA games, these really tough, harsh mechanics, and it's very razor edge as far as your give that you have with it and everything. And then you have communities, which a lot of times revolve around these same games. I can say League of Legends, EVE Online, Dark Souls. Yeah, Dark Souls is on both sides of that, I think, of just the whole, like I said, just this get good mentality. Good, bad.
Why are you complaining? Just get good. It's not the game's fault that you're bad. You're the reason why you're bad. That's the whole idea behind get good.
Go ahead.
Sorry, but that's pretty well done. I was just putting that out there. You continue.
So, I guess the first thing really is, do you think as developers that they should? Do you think these kind of games? First, personal opinion. Do you guys think these kind of games that are very mechanic intensive, very unforgiving, do you find them enjoyable? Or do you not really go to play games for these type of games?
I typically don't play these types of games, but to be fair, every game has had this since the beginning of gaming, where it is skill-based, at least to an extent, and if you don't get good, then you won't do well in the game. If you're playing Pong, you'll lose in Pong. If you're playing Sonic the Hedgehog, you won't even get to the end of the first level of Sonic the Hedgehog. If you're playing Dark Souls, you won't even beat the Abyssal Demon, or whatever he's called.
I struggled.
What?
I struggled with the first mini-boss in Dark Souls.
I'll tell you right now, the Dark Souls games I've never even played, because I played its older brother, Demon Souls, and that game kicked my ass to the point of I about threw controllers.
Yeah.
So, continue, Sicachi.
So, in a way, that's a game. It's difficult. There's a bit of effort you have to put in to even be able to play the game. Because to be fair, you don't have to be good to play Pong. You're going to lose, but you can play Pong. Whereas if you're playing Dark Souls, if you're not very good at Dark Souls, you die and you have to start back from your last bonfire, the beginning of the game, whatever. And if you just keep being wrecked like that, you have two choices. Either play the game or get good. So, like I said, every game has that to an extent, and everyone has their point of how much they're going to invest into a game to get good.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's a bad thing at all. It's different games for different people.
It's just, I feel this term, get good, has... the meaning has changed a little bit, because I completely agree with Sicachi. Get good has always been in games, and if The best stupid example I can come up with, we all played, or majority of us played RPGs. A majority of us who played RPGs have played the old Final Fantasy titles. Am I right?
Mm-hmm.
There we
Yeah,
go.
I picked up
So-
a Final Fantasy game before.
And we all been in the situation where we had to grind XP. And in a way, this is getting good. Because we aren't able, with our current level or with the current party, we aren't able to finish this boss or to run through that dungeon or whatever. So we have to grind, we have to gain experience, to gain further abilities, blah, 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 blah. We are getting good. This has always been there. And it just depends on what kind of type of game you're applying this to. I mean, yes, Dark Souls, it's just meant to be a pain in the frickin' backside. It's just designed like that. And I picked it up. I played Dark Souls 1 and I played Dark Souls 3. And I can say, without even being ashamed, I didn't finish any of them. I didn't.
Yeah.
And yeah, it doesn't suck. Because I suck at those games. And I don't want to spend too much time. It's not a type of game that I say, okay, I want to invest my time into it in order to get good. It just depends on the type of game. Getting good, I need to want it for a certain game. And Final Fantasy, for example, is one of those games where I would invest time.
Well, that's
not the new titles, the older title. I would invest time. The new titles, they're a little bit different, but that's a different story.
The way I see it, sorry, Pyro,
You're
I
good.
just have this to say about older RPG games. It seems like they're substituting you as a player of the game getting good for you're controlling these people. You need them to get good. So you don't have to increase your skills any. So long as you can hit the A button and tell your people to attack, you're fine. Or maybe, I guess the getting good there would be learning to use different abilities or whatever.
Yeah,
But,
like I said, it was more of a stupid example. It was very far-fetched.
I think
You could apply this to... Yeah, carry
I
on.
still think it's a good example. Because like I said, your characters are getting good.
Mm-hmm.
So it's still bringing in the fact that you need to get better to defeat the boss or get through a dungeon.
So I think, like, coming from whenever the game is designed with this in mind, or especially like the developer, it knows that they're going for this essentially a niche community, we can agree that that's not a problem.
Yeah.
Like one of my common things, like talking about the Hellblade rot mechanic, it sounds to me, it's kind of like instead of telling you how many lives you have, it's an abstract way of saying you have X lives.
Yeah.
I mean, who remembers Super Mario Brothers, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the same thing. I mean, instead of like, picture you have 5 lives, and by the time it's 0 lives, you got a rod in your head. It's that's the thing that always kept.
I don't remember that in Super Mario Brothers.
Yeah, it's.
Do you not?
I'm sure it's on a creepypasta site somewhere. But let's talk about the other side that usually, when this phrase gets tossed around, communities. Maybe I think you were kind of starting to edge towards that a little bit.
Was I?
Intentionally or not, I don't know. But usually the get good phrase when it comes from a community is derogatory at best. Like right now, Mibu, have you ever played League of Legends?
I have not.
Okay, I guarantee you right now, as of someone that casually plays, and Sicachi, I don't know your level of playing anymore offhand, but if you were to jump into a league match right now, with me or Sicachi, considering we both have level 30 accounts, whatever, you'd get paired with other people like us. You'd get steamrolled, and you'd be called every name in the book, every thing like that. And if you sit there and said, "Hey, it's my first time playing," or if you gave the slightest excuse, noob, pleb, or get good would be the phrases to come up. I guarantee it.
Yeah.
So, and that's kind of like what I think a lot of the controversy came from this. A lot of people in there hearing games developing like this now, they think it's the bad. I don't know the words I'm going to use. It's the bad context, or something being taken out of context. The connotation to it. I don't know. I'm trying to find a word here, and I don't got it. So I mean,
that's really taken two different ways. Where the Dark Souls games from Software has embraced that, where it's challenging and that is okay. Whereas you also have the other way of something that's been in the game development sphere for a long time now, where it's, here is a tutorial screen. This is how you move. Did you know that you use WASD to move? So either you cater to people being noobs, or you let people fail. It's what it seems. And the problem is, in games, failing isn't necessarily a bad thing, because you can try again.
Of course. But the trying again, in my personal opinion, only happens X amount of times.
That's true.
How long does
if I'm presented with a game, and within the first hour or half an hour and I have been there, I can't continue with it because the mechanic wasn't explained and I cannot find the solution. Is it either in some kind of documented type of way within the game, or on forums on the internet, because the game might be too new? I just gave up. And there won't be any get good, because I sometimes, yes, I had those thoughts. Really? Do I really need this tutorial? I strongly believe there's always that at least one new player who will benefit from any kind of tutorial. Sicachi, you haven't, but for example, you, Pyro, you've played Rock.
Yes.
How much of Rock have you played? How long, roughly?
10 minutes, because
okay.
the crafting
so he's
is
an expert.
Yes, the crafting is very much up your bum. But I streamed it for 2 hours, and these 2 hours I was playing for 1.5 hours, because it took me a half an hour to actually get into the game. Again,
yes.
I'm kind of, it's a different story. But the tutorial is almost non-existent, and this is a type of game, it's a survival game. This is a type of game where you do benefit a lot from a good tutorial, and the tutorial at its current state is far from good. I struggled to build my first habitat, and even when I managed to build it, it wasn't what I needed, because I was missing a lot of other things.
My first, like I said, I played 10 minutes of it, so my first 10 minutes of that game, they're trying to tell me to, the first thing they tell you to build, I can't remember even what it is, and you start out with the materials over here on your side screen and everything. They're like, drag it into, they tell you to drag it over here and place it in your thing. So I'm like, okay, so I'm sitting there trying to drag it over and everything like that, and nothing was working. So finally I got some sort of dialogue to pop up, and I read it after, like, I'd finished reading it after I'd already clicked OK, and it was, it's when you have to build your first pickaxe. The dialogue I thought was like, you wish to build, you add this to your build queue or something like that. I'm like, by the time I realized what I did it was actually, you wish to destroy this item. So I destroyed one part of what I needed to build my pickaxe, which I need to harvest resources, because of just a stupid UI that they very haphazardly described. So
no, I've noticed, I noticed that exact same thing. If you're off by a little tiny amount where you want to place it, where you should place required material. You're off a little bit. It's, oh, do you want to? Are you sure you want to delete it? And if you're trigger happy, you just click yes, of course, because you think you're building something.
Right.
Do you want to build this? Do you want to place it there? Yes, of course. The message says, do you want to delete this item? I've seen this message during my 2-hour playthrough 30, 40 times because that material did not end up where it should have gone to. But yeah, never mind. Okay. Getting good in placing materials.
So, I think overall, Sicachi, you're the kind of person that'd make me rage quit a game. Like every single time I say, every time I say I'm having a problem with this, just get good, bro. Just get good.
Well, that's the thing. In certain communities, like the Dark Souls community, it's a term of endearment, where if you're having a problem, of course, the first joke that everyone will hop on is, "Oh, have you gotten good? That's what you need to do first. You need to get good first." And if you can get past the immediately, like, being called a noob, like in League of Legends, if you admit, like, yes, I'm a noob, help please, then a lot of the time, people will help. People will give you advice. People say, oh, you need to combine these items, and that'll help your build on League of Legends. Or, hey, you might want to go over here and pick up this sword.
Last time I played, then. Because, like, that was going to be my exact example, was League of Legends. In a competitive game where team play is involved, 9 times out of 10, I could sit there and remember, like, I'd be playing middle or bottom or something like that, and my jungle wouldn't come and gank, and it's even like, you know, where the hell were you? And like, oh, I'm sorry. First, I'm like, well, just, you know, fucking go, you know, go do something else. Don't be playing this game. You know, get good before you come do this. Like, well, that's the only way you could really play was by getting on with servers with people. And I mean, it's in like a team or a competitive, like, you know, Dark Souls, like I said, the game was designed that way. But League of Legends, I don't think, I mean, sure, it's mechanic intensive, but I don't think the developers designed it with the idea of, like, you know, this is a get good, you know, harsh mechanics type game. I mean, granted, some of their newer champions maybe, but I don't think it was designed with that in mind. That's just the direction the community has gone, and it's developed a toxic community as a result of that.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
That on any kind of competitive game, where there is a community involved, you get those guys who, like Sicachi said, are willing to help, but a lot of the cases, and I personally feel that this is the majority of people, they get salty. And they say, F off, get out of this game, yeah, don't play on my team. I need someone who is good at that team, at this game. And yeah, they just don't want any noobs. But then again, like you said, Pyro, in order to get good in certain games, that's the only way. Multiplayer matches, competitive matches. As far as I'm aware, League of Legends, after X level you reach, I think it's level 5 or something like that, you are only able to do competitive matches online.
Yeah, pretty much.
So,
I mean, you can always do AI matches and everything, but AI will only take you so far.
Exactly. Yeah. That's not a real challenge.
So, we got a little bit. We're about wrapped up here. Sicachi, we got about 10 minutes.
Okay.
You said you were wanting to lead us on.
Yeah, I was just wanting to point out that on August 28th, XCOM 2 DLC, War of the Chosen is coming out. It's supposed to add a lot of new content. I love the XCOM games. I love turn-based strategy. I mean, like XCOM, I love any turn-based strategy for the most part. But yeah, it's supposed to add a lot more content, adds new factions to the games and and I thought it'd be a nice little thing to talk about. Just give a little highlight on.
Never played the XCOM games. That you said it's a turn-based strategy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's really good. I highly recommend them.
I mean, I played the first XCOM and whatever the first-person shooter was called. Um,
That was bad.
that was real
Hero.
bad. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was bad. But I played the first XCOM, and myself, I'm not a big fan of turn-based games, apart from Civilization and XCOM.
4X games. Oh, never mind.
Yes, yes,
I
yeah,
thought you were
yeah,
getting ready to
I
exclude
know.
XCOM from your list, and then because
No,
you
no, no,
said
no,
you
no,
didn't.
no, no, no. But XCOM is one of the games that I actually do enjoy because I give every genre at least a fourth second chance, if that makes any sense. But XCOM, again, brilliant game. And it kind of, there is one topic that goes hand in hand with what you said earlier, Pyro, regarding Hellblade, the permadeath. What I experienced in XCOM, your teammates, and I'm hoping that this is still a function, that your team or your squad mates, you build a relationship with your squad mates in XCOM. As silly as it might sound. So you have a squad of 4 people, if I remember correct. But if they die, they are gone. And this is a devastating feeling in XCOM because, like I said, you build a relationship, you invest time in these guys, you invest a lot of effort to get them trained up and all this and getting good and all that. And all of a sudden, dead. And you lose one of your most valuable team members, or even 2 or 3. And you've got to buy that level 1 piece of shit. And yeah. No, XCOM, yeah, give it a go. Give it a go. It's a fantastic piece of game.
Yeah.
Is it multiplayer?
Yes, but
I
it's
believe
competitive multiplayer.
Yeah.
That would actually sound like something fun to check out. Is it just 1v1 or is it co-op or?
It's just 1v1.
1v1.
I don't believe they have any co-op.
That
So
that makes me think of like the I used to play a game series called, I think, Jagged Alliance. You guys remember those games?
Oh yes, I do.
I played the very. It's a turn-based tactical game. Where you pretty much you move. The story is you play mercenaries, you go out do missions, and you sit there, move them around the map and everything, give them cover, shoot your gun at targets and everything. Very similar to like Fallout Tactics. I mean, there's a genre of them really.
Mm-hmm. And so yeah, getting back to the DLC that's coming out for XCOM 2. If you don't know, it's XCOM 2 is aliens have taken over the world, and they've instituted their new world order sort of thing. And the XCOM faction that you are a part of is trying to take back the world for humanity. So this DLC adds in some new factions, such as the, let's see, Skirmishers and Reapers are 2 different factions that don't like each other, but are also against the Advent. That's what the aliens are called.
Okay.
So I think that'll be pretty interesting because you didn't really have this whole different factions thing in XCOM 2, really.
All right.
So
anything else on this then?
Not that I can think of. Check it out if you haven't played
Now,
XCOM.
are you still streaming it regularly on your channel?
I'm not streaming XCOM right now.
Okay.
Lately, I have been playing Mega Man Battle Network.
I'm sorry.
Sorry, you were playing what?
Mega Man Battle Network.
Wow.
It was a game originally for the Game Boy Advance, and oh, I love the Battle Network series so much. It's so good.
Forget the get good phrase. How about get taste?
Oh god.
Anyways, so I think this show we're hour and 6 minutes, not too bad. Sorry for I think the first 15 minutes or 20 minutes our audio was apparently messed up. I'm afraid to go look at the video for it.
That'll be fine.
So
And of course, it was my piece that's where the audio is
in
missing.
in all honesty, that was kind of the plan, Mibu. Don't worry.
Thank you. Thank you.
Actually,
Thank you.
it's really sad because I think that was probably the better segment overall for our first run.
Well, we've got to repeat it. That was our test run.
We'll just do voiceover on it. It'll look like
There we go.
It'll look like really
Captions.
bad.
Captions.
We need professional lip readers. Stat.
Yeah.
So, anyways, get a hold of us. I'll have links to our individual channels in on our descriptions on our YouTube, Twitch. I'll got to figure out. I'll have links to our Discord up for you. Where you can come and chat with us in the community and everything. We run the Obtenebration Network. If that's kind of one thing I've missed at the very beginning, it is a gaming community focused around gamers,
Spy gamers, for gamers.
Gamers, content creators, and their fans. We try to do a bunch of multiple stuff together, whether it's content creation for videos or just general multiplayer gaming or just shooting the breeze. So you come hang out with us. Yelling at each other. Yeah, yelling at each other.
I never yell. I just insult quietly.
You're just passive aggressive when. So, thank you for watching us here and everything. Mibu, any last words?
I'm so sorry for this.
All right, Sicachi.
Play us off, Mibu Cat.
Meow! Meow meow! Meow meow!
Alright. Bi-weekly schedule. We should have an episode 2 weeks from now. Catch you guys then.
Bye!
See ya!
Oh my god.